6 weeks into our journey around the British Isles, we've crossed the Sea of the Hebrides to reach the outermost islands of Scotland.
Apart from St Kilda, that's even further west.
Yet St Kilda's way out in the Atlantic, John. I mean, nobody goes there. It's 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to discuss St Kilda. To be honest, with the weather, I think we're lucky to have made it to Barra. Barra, jewel of Scotland's Western Isles. By rights, we should feel rather smug having arrived here, because the odds on the weather front have been against us. Any sensible person would have rushed ashore to a well-deserved bath. We rushed ashore to find out when the unsettled conditions would allow us to leave. Well, not that it's not nice here, but the elusive island of St Kilda remains the most westerly point of the British Isles, and we're determined to get there.
Hello. Oh, good morning. I wondered if you could have any news on the weather at the moment, whether you've got any information. I'm hoping to sail out to St Kilda.
Sailing weather, I'm not sure of that.
The runway at Barra International Airport, and this is the hub of the baggage handling system.
Oh, hello. I'm ringing from the yacht Herta. I wonder if I can speak to someone about getting a forecast.
We're used to tides being important, but not quite like this.
That's less than 10.
Okay, landing on a beach is unusual. Do you have to do any special test or whatever for that?
Well, yes, obviously we're making sure the tide is out. And, that the beach is not too wet. The firemen here go out and measure the standing water.
That's less than 6 millimetres.
Right, so more westerly, 4 to 5. Possible 6.
So how do you judge it for the aircraft? Because the visibility's not very good out there, but is the plane coming in this morning?
We hope so. It's entirely at the moment, and should be in here in about 20 minutes. We've got various visibility points that we look at to judge, whether it's going to be satisfactory for the aircraft.
Apparently, this is satisfactory visibility. The plane has landed. At least I think so. Well, it sounds like it has. Perfect flying conditions.
Possibly, but rubbish for sailing. As we're trying to get out to St Kilda. OK, thanks for your help. All right then, bye. We're stuck on Barra. It's not a problem. We just need to be relaxed about it. After all, the place is awash with ancient Gallic culture, rugged natural beauty and gripping historical sites. John is as excited as I am about checking out the local attractions.
In the rain.
We head off for Kissimule Castle, the 11th century home of the Clan MacNeil, terror of the Western Isles. He was the most successful of the warrior clans, I think. And he used to employ a chap to go up into the hills when he'd eaten and to shout to the hills.
But that's...
The MacNeil has supped, and so the princes of the world may sit down to eat. I like that.
I think that's rather good. Try that on Herta.
Of course, even the terrifying MacNeils would have been won over by us, with our peekaboo hats and finely honed nautical skills.
Sorry.
Come in. Do you want to have a look around?
Yes, we may.
Yes, come right in.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. It's normal weather for June.
Confucius said, "It is better to travel than to arrive." He'd probably been to Kissimule Castle in the rain.
A freshwater spring inside this small island castle allowed the clan to resist sieges for an indefinite period of time, or until they went mad. It's been quite boring to play I Spy on this castle. Something beginning with W. Water. Your turn.
Something beginning with P. Privy. Your turn.
Rock. Interesting thing about all these historical places is that not all of them are interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Sit on the boat again.
Sorry?
I said we could always go and sit on the boat again.
Yeah, look out at the rain.
Kissimule Castle is home of the oldest toilet in Britain. But I think John's right. It doesn't make an afternoon pass.
"24 hours later, we head north, one step closer to St Kilda. Herta is a small boat, and we're all living in close quarters. But after a couple of months at sea together, we developed a comfortable routine. Everyone freshens up as much as is possible on a boat with no real washing facilities. I feel confident at the helm, but aware how critical the wind direction is at this time of the morning. One false move and you get toothpaste in your face.
I never thought I'd feel so safe and relaxed on Herta, but she seems to take every ounce of poor weather in her stride. Our skipper, Tom, has sailed this 80-year-old girl across the Atlantic. That I do find incredible. Partly because it's a long way, and partly because you'd be so smelly when you arrived. I don't understand how you could go across the Atlantic without a shower. I'm sorry, I find that... Yes, that's pretty much what I was referring to in an oblique manner.
The essence of her and the depth of her joy is her absolute simplicity. There really isn't much on here to go wrong. As a result of which, nothing much does go wrong. And you can enjoy the seafaring without sitting there biting your nails about whether your shower's going to work when you get in. You know it's not, so you're not disappointed.
But now, the other thing that I don't understand is all the technical names that John and I are struggling to learn.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got pet names for everything. So
Yes.
we're having to learn two lots of names. There's Eric, which is the dinghy.
Eric the Red is the dinghy.
And
He
there's-
dates from the Viking voyage, where we...
Charles, who's the white fender. We thought
Yeah.
the three musketeers for the three other fenders.
For the new fenders.
Well, they would do, wouldn't they?
All right.
But how will you know which is D'Artagnan?
Ah, one of them's got a very horrible bit of rope on it, maybe.
That could be because he had a funny haircut, didn't
Yes, he did. The outboard engine is...
he? Sally Seagull.
Hold on, mad. It's drinking the seawater, Captain. It's driving me mad.
I expect Nelson and Hardy had similar philosophical discussions at sea.
By the way, the spanner is called Iron Bull, and the high-tech satellite navigational system is called Henry. What's the coal stove called?
Don't know. He ought to have a name. He's got a very friendly face.
Against a clearing sky, the beauty of the Outer Hebrides is at last revealed as we steam past the romantic islands of Uist, Benbecula and Eriskay. And not that these waters aren't dangerous. 70 years ago, the steamship Politician foundered here. The islanders valiantly saved the cargo. 265,000 bottles of whiskey. It was hell, but someone had to do it.
Should be a green buoy up here. I don't know whether anybody can see it. Probably off the starboard bow. I think I have it.
What's it about?
Okay, you see
1
where...
o'clock?
well, it's not Scarpet, the little island on the starboard
Yeah.
bow. Just dropping down to the sea and a
Yeah.
little bop on the end of it.
Yeah.
To the right, there's a green buoy underneath it, shining in the sun.
Oh, yes, I got him.
Hang on, topsail sheet. I'll double check the chart now.
After a trouble-free day's sail, we arrive at the Isle of Scalpay off Harris, the northernmost part of the Hebrides. For a brief moment, we enjoy the evening sun. A very brief moment.
And that's the end of the shipping forecast and reports from coastal stations.
Okay, boys and girls, here's the ghastly tidings from the weatherman. Well, I've just brought a chart in, actually, so you can see the full horror of our position. Right, chew up, Sandy, will you? Just have a look at the position here. Move the old bucket.
I beg your pardon.
Okay, so we're snuck away in this little harbour here on the northwest corner of Scalpay. We're absolutely fine in here. Depression goes through overnight, so it might get up to gale force tonight. So today there's absolutely no question of going anywhere at all. Tomorrow we're going to get a lull. It could be a good day for movement because we've got force 4, west-southwest, few showers, decent sort of day.
So with the wind coming from the west, Tom, does that put the kibosh on our hopes of getting out to St Kilda?
I think it's really starting to look that way. I think we've got to accept the fact that the probability now is that we won't get there. The trouble is, it's the time factor, isn't it?
Well, we have got our schedule.
Well, we've got to be in Falmouth by August the 6th.
I feel we ought to be in Orkney by the weekend, because Orkney's halfway, isn't it?
So the weather's no good for sailing. What's a good way of spending a day on Herta?
Well, I mean, there's a few odd things to do down here, but not a lot. I think we'll have a make and mend day, really.
There's general disappointment about not going to St Kilda. Not that what lies ahead is the easy option. We'll need all the luck we can muster to round the ominously named Cape Wrath, the top left-hand corner of the mainland. Tom tells us to spend the next 24 hours preparing. He analyses the charts. I analyse my sailing companions. All faces fall into classic characteristics which reveal personality. Craggy face equals poor leadership qualities, easily loses way. Oh dear. Aquiline boyish features equal tendency to tantrums. Keep away from blunt instruments. Oh, my lord. Thin lips, double chin, haunted look of exhaustion. He's a psychopath! Well, I know it's just theory, but I've got to stand night watch with one of these people.
Sandy seemed a bit distant as we hoisted sail. We're heading for the Orkney Islands, the halfway mark in our 2,000-mile journey around Britain. But first we have to get round Cape Wrath.
I'll be honest, in everyday life, staying quiet is not my big thing. But at sea, the shipping forecast commands total respect. I go as silent as a turkey in December.
105.6, the general weather forecast from Ron McCallum.
Let's hear what they say. It's often worth a listen.
Soft play on and off at Wimbledon, and no doubt it's wet several acres of dry hay. But it has done gardens a lot of good. But tomorrow the hay should dry again, and Wimbledon should see a lot of play, and the sun will reappear.
The roses will be in good shape.
The final picture is one of disappointing weather for the longest day of the year, the strength of wind being particularly noticeable. Today's best almost summery weather has been in the north of Scotland, but tomorrow things will reverse.
For once, we got it right.
Details at the start of the forecast, tonight and tomorrow, southern England, East Anglia, the Midlands and Wales.
We have two clear options. Make straight for a safe anchorage in one of the locks on the mainland, or sail overnight for Orkney.
Well, our big question mark is this low that's coming in across the Atlantic, which is supposed to be north of Fair Isle. I think we should go for it, because Thursday looks like being not a nice day, and certainly the information we had from Southampton Weather Centre was that Thursday would be very windy. So if we go into one of these locks here, we may end up holed up for 2 or 3 days.
Trying to keep up with our impossible deadline, we have battled the elements, and given a general vote, we'd probably stop. But then nature irritatingly throws us a rainbow, and once more rouses our weary sense of adventure. Shall we do some cooking? On Mr. Whale. Cracked. Hey! Whoa! Catch them tomatoes! Hey! Cleanliness standards are entirely different.
Cooking at sea. Clunk click every trip, or you lose your chef as well as your tomatoes.
I think if you're cooking in clean pants, then you've achieved the highest hygiene possible in the galley. That's my theory.
Well, the thing is that it all tastes so much better somehow when you've been in the fresh air.
Also, if
I
you've
think
been
you
cooking-
forgive certain misdemeanours that might have been committed in the galley itself. That's because you're so hungry.
How's it looking upstairs? Has the weather turned at all?
Up on deck.
I keep the skipper talking because I've just realised he's got the tomato that fell on the floor.
Cape Wrath on the longest day of the year. During my captive years, my dream of freedom had been set at sea like this, on a boat like this, on a day like this. But after 1,000 miles of living out the dream, you'd think I'd have got used to nature and her tricks. Not so. What I've learned is that sometimes a minute at sea is beyond imagination.
Well, very tentatively, hoping that we don't get the wrath of God looking behind us, up spirits, I think, don't you?
I think so.
I should break the seal and hand it to the lady of the watch.
Thank you very much. It's a tiny sip. I've been a bit wobbly today.
Feeling better now?
I'm feeling better, thank you.
This should bring the sea behind us, actually. It'll ease things off quite a lot.
But do you think that because Cape Wrath comes from the Nordic word for turning point, that the wrath of God is simply a turning point of God? This is an interesting interpretation.
I'll discuss it when we get to Orkney in one piece.
If these places are quite so dodgy, does it spoil your enjoyment of actually making the trip?
What? No, there's no pleasure in it at all to me. Do I get to Orkney in one piece?
No pleasure at all. That's clearly my inexperience showing. Still, there's a lot to be said for not being in charge. I look around me again. I'm slightly seasick, tired and filthy. But still, I can't imagine not finding pleasure in this moment.
If it comes up to force 5, it'll be great. We'll just square the sails away and rock it off. But if it stays below 4, I think we'll motor sail, because the thing to do is get in as quick order as we can.
Standing night watch on a small corner of the Atlantic Ocean is part of my romantic sailing dream. But by 2 o'clock on a freezing morning, my imagination has deserted me.
Well, is it about time then, do you think?
I think so.
All I can think about is my bunk.
Yeah, that would be good. bit over, so...
What?
It's fucking horrible.
Longer than their beds, they're supposed to... OK, well, go and bung the kettle on and dig them out.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if they've got any conscience, they'll be stirring already.
Despite only half an hour's sleep, I don't mind getting up at all. It's wet and cold on deck. But it was wet and cold in my bunk, and at least on deck you can move around. We've timed our arrival in Stromness perfectly to receive a traditional July welcome. A hailstorm.
Ready to go on the main sheet. You ready? Well, I'm currently thinking about chiropody quite seriously as a career. Most people have got feet. And it's done in the dry.
The long sail to Orkney has pushed us to our physical and mental limits. I've never before seen Sandy so exhausted that she's actually lost her sense of humour. Normally I'd be concerned about her, but the fact is I'm just too tired to care.
24 hours of solid sleeping, an onshore steam bath, a bit of sunshine, and John and I perk up enough to remember that we actually have a good time together. If you've come from Barra via Scalpe, let me tell you Stromness seems like the big smoke. Heady with the excitement of real shops, we set off to dodge the traffic in the bustling boulevards of the city.
Mind that cat?
Oh, never mind the cat. Nothing will stand in our way. We have a mission.
I like the idea of a mouse popping an aeroplane.
That's fair,
It had to be taken off the fumigation, I understand. Well, the mouse or the plane, isn't it?
There we go, look.
It's the business.
That one there, that's you.
I think so.
It's me. That'll keep there?
Yeah, that's fine. It's very nice to be pampered. We've been on a sailing boat for 6 weeks, so it's all gone a bit casual.
Does that feel better now?
Oh, I'm just struggling to keep clean on this old boat, I'm telling you.
Do you have there's sort of plenty of water? Do you have...
We've got there's a tank with sort of 60 gallons of fresh water in it, but I mean, for example, if you're washing out pots, pans, or whatever, you do that in a bucket of seawater.
Oh, right.
Do you think the hair's in not too bad conditions this year?
It feels okay, yes. It's a good show you don't wear your hair in a nice high bouffant style.
I used to, obviously. Obviously, I was known for my bouffant in my earlier days, but it didn't work for the travelling, really. I've given that style over to John now. I find it's much more his thing.
So, just to trim it would be great.
Don't you find the men are fussier than the women?
Very much so, yes.
These boys, they worry so about how they look, don't they?
Do you like the length at the back?
Yeah, I think it just a fraction short would be great, please, yeah.
You like being an island?
I think that you need to get out of Orkney to be able to appreciate the place, but I do enjoy the life, and especially now that I have a wee boy, I like the safety, security, and all that up here.
It's interesting. It's the one thing that everybody on an island that we've visited, the very first thing they mention is that the children are safe.
Yes.
Don't you think it's sad that that's a kind of preoccupation nowadays?
Yes, to live with that pressures the whole time, I think must be awful. We don't lock our doors. I won't give my address, but...
So would you sail around Britain? Yeah, I think I must be mad.
Well, having stayed in Orkney all this time, I've never been on a sailing ship yet, so it's a terrible confession, isn't it?
And 6 boys on board, it's not quite.
Conversation a bit limited.
It is a bit limited, yes. No, I tell you the worst part of it, Kathleen, is when I have to go to the loo, right? It's quite a complicated business downstairs, and the boys just stand on they used to say, "Excuse me, Sandy," now they just stand on the sides.
No longer.
And just do the business. I don't want to see all that nonsense. Fortunately, with most of them you can't see anything, so you're all right.
Great. Right, here we go. On the quick route south.
Take care of
Have
yourself.
a great trip. Really good trip.
Despite our attempts to spruce ourselves up, our first mate Paul has decided to leave us. It's not personal. Not everyone can take a whole summer off to sail around the country.
Teaching us all the roads. Oh, you have a great time.
Now you're not there.
Rolls and Hannah will be here to show you the road.
Take care of yourself. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, very good. Look after yourself.
There you go.
Feeling a bit more rested and smelling a lot better, we leave the Orkneys to begin the second half of our voyage. A small bunch of Orcadian flowers hits the drink. It's a nautical tradition, promising the local waters that one day you'll return. This is new to me. It's only the arrival of the skipper's wife and daughter which has brought flowers on board at all. Roz and Hannah joining us as crew means there's even less space on board. But maybe now the boys will be a bit more cautious in their toiletry habits.
And then we're out into the Pentland Firth, which is, as we were saying at dinner last night, contains probably, well, undoubtedly the strongest tides in the British Isles, and probably in the world.
There are stories from the Second World War of such strong currents around here that battleships, steaming at full power against the tide, got nowhere at all. On a fine day like today, it's hard to imagine. We relax into the day's sail to the mainland.
It's a mistake. I now have 2 unshakable rules at sea. Never be without spare wet wipes, and always expect the unexpected. See that? That's a fog bank. It's generally a bad idea, but when you're sailing amongst a mass of islands and rocks in unknown, tricky waters which cover more shipwrecks than anyone would want to think about, it's a very bad idea.
And, well, hope we can find this red buoy. Well, it's here, but it should be on the starboard bow, and if we don't get it, we'll have to swing around this corner. We'll have the echo sounder on, John, please, on times 1.
Is there any way of predicting these things?
It's beyond the weather people's
They
control.
did say fog banks on the forecast.
Pardon? 15. Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, we'll slow down now.
Within 10 minutes, the relaxed holiday atmosphere evaporates as the fog sweeps tension across the deck. Soon we can see nothing at all, but the chart screams rocks at us. I'm sent below to check the water depth on the echo sounder, which seems like a very good idea. But it does occur to me that any rocks will hit me first.
I think the most sensible thing to do, we can't press on in this, there's no chance at all, so I think we'll have to turn back. We can run a reciprocal heading back up this sound here. We'll log our position now, 1700. It's probably... What's the depth now, John?
It's up to 27.
Probably run something in the vicinity of 3/4 of a mile. So I reckon we're probably around about here. But actually, we'll get a double check quickly on the GPS and see if that agrees with us. Same last fix now. Just wait for a position. We're quite safe here. We're in deep water. Nothing to worry about. It's a little bit alarming, but go on, Henry, old navigator.
I've never put the words safe and deep water together in my mind before. Think, just an hour and a half ago, we had tossed the saloon flowers into the sea so that the waters would one day draw us back to the Orkneys. Been rather more effective than anyone had imagined.
You can come out now, John. Behold.
It's turned out nice again.
Oh my word. Where did everything go? Oh,
Yeah, well...
Can we turn around?
Yeah, I'm afraid we've aborted. There's the only thing to do. What you were doing there was basically telling me, until I got the GPS flashed up, that we were in deep water.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing, I'm trying to get back into the islands and outrun the fog. Yes, get away from the fog. I hope it's not going to go all the way. If it does, we'll just have to come in behind here and anchor in shallowish water.
Fog-bound indefinitely, we set about getting to know the Orkneys better than Crusoe knew his island. I take my man Friday souvenir shopping. See, I love all the nail clipper sets embossed with place names and fridge magnets of historical sites. It's taken me a while, but at last John seems to be sharing my enthusiasm.
Perfect.
Leatherette pension book.
Where was that from?
That's Channel Islands, isn't it? You know what I should have done? I should have bought his and her rain set. That was particularly nice. Oh, and the nail... Where'd you go?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello. Do that to me.
But I think I may have found something that's going to top the whole lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I want to show it to you.
Whipped cream.
I wonder if you could help us, please. We're sailing around Great Britain in an old yacht. And my friend Sandy here is very keen to get as many souvenirs from places we've been to. And I just saw something in the window which I thought might be the ideal souvenir of the Orkneys.
Right.
I'm not really sure what it is. It's something called Grimbaster.
Home of Grimbaster.
Yeah. I thought it would go very well with your leatherette pension book, or
Oh,
like use up whatever you were
Is it as
working to
good
put
as
into the pension book.
as the Welsh one made of conch shells, which I bought in Conway?
I think there's a more real appeal. Ah, right.
That's it. That's the details.
So what do you reckon?
An island.
Your very own. And is it properly sort of equipped? Has it got running water and loos and stuff?
Oh, yes, toilet is very important.
Not very sure of.
So what do you think? I mean, it would be a perfect
I think it's
souvenir,
very
wouldn't it?
nice, very nice. Is it possible to go out and have a look at it?
The property manager, he's out of the office at the moment. He's going out this afternoon.
Hiya.
Hello there. Hi. Are you taking these good folk out to see the island?
Yes.
Is it all right if we come along?
Please do.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thanks a lot. If we can find it.
Yeah.
Someone
It's disappeared entirely. So
The small island is only 100 yards off the mainland. According to the particulars, we can see nothing. It gives a whole new meaning to the words property search.
So are you interested in buying it? Or is it your...
Yeah,
What would you be using it for?
to live on.
Oh, to live on?
Yeah,
Oh, right. Would you farm it then?
it's possible. A lot of scope for it, isn't there, really?
John and I may not have bought an island before, but we suss the system straight away. Find out as much as you can about the competition and don't let them know you're too keen.
No,
So, now, where are you from? You're not from the Orkneys.
no, I'm from Glossop, in Derbyshire.
Do you farm down in Glossop?
No, I'm a paint technician.
Really?
A paint technician?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of call for that up here, really, is it?
Well, it includes panel beating and paint spraying.
The causeway out to the island is only uncovered twice a day at low tide. There's general agreement it's a good idea to let the dog go first.
Can't even see it at the moment.
You will do when you get closer.
Only £80,000 for your own 80-acre island. Annoyingly, the estate agent has forgotten the key to the front gate, but somehow we manage.
I've always wanted a sweeping driveway. I wonder where the milkman will leave the milk. Dear, noisy neighbours. The estate agent points out various features. There are no trees on the island. Pressed on the point, he admits it's because the wind's too strong. I begin to have my first doubts. Anywhere the wind's too strong for trees may not be the best place for me to put my roots down. We check the house out. It is in need of slight modernisation, but the paint technician from Glossop is undeterred.
I think a couple of good years on it and you'll be sorting it out.
You've done anything like that before?
I've done all my house up. Retail the bathroom, that cost me a fortune.
We have to build a bathroom here.
Well, I suppose I would, yeah. It's easy though, you're starting from basic, aren't you?
Right.
You know, you make it the size you
so
want.
you can do whatever you like, yeah.
Yeah. Get my dad to help me with the electrics. Get the grass down. I don't think I'd cut that with a strimmer.
Not quickly, anyway.
No.
It would certainly take
That would take a
while.
couple of years as well, I think.
The island, with its potentially charming house, is tempting, but John and I clearly can't compete with either our Glossop man's confidence or his DIY skills.
You think you'll put an offer in?
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah?
Yeah, certainly will.
Are you ready to make a sale, are you? Have you done-
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's been a good day.
We decide to go and buy his and her rain sets with a picture of St Magnus Cathedral on them instead.
Which is when we realise the tide has come in. It hasn't been a good day for moving on. Hello?
Excuse me?
Sorry, any chance if we could just...
Just the two of us?
Yeah, we're just a bit stuck on the island. Hello?
The good thing about being fog-bound on Orkney is that we've had a thorough rest for a week. Unfortunately, this will also mean that as we pass John O'Groats on the mainland, we'll be well behind schedule.
Did you know that John O'Groats is not the most northerly point of the British mainland, although that's what everybody thinks? They just had a very good PR person.
Yes. Well, anyway, we've sailed over halfway around Britain. Just another 1,000 miles left to go.
Another 1,000? I said we should have got more loo roll.
we've crossed the wicked waters of the Pentland Firth into the North Sea and on to Peterhead in Scotland, the busiest fishing port in Europe.
Peterhead's nickname is Blue Toon, or Blue Town. There are several explanations. My favourite is that the townspeople once salvaged hundreds of yards of blue material from a shipwreck, and for years everyone in Peterhead had clothing in the same colour.
Of course, it might just be that it's very cold here.
Arriving from the sea, the town of Peterhead is not shy about advertising its main occupation. It flaunts its trade at you. Not through your eyes so much, but through your nose. Even some way off, the smell of fish is astonishing. Fish is everywhere. Fishing boats, fishing crates, fishermen. The second we moor, our ropes and hands are thick with fish scale. It's so annoying. And we'd showered in Orkney.
At 5 a.m, the early morning call of the sea draws anyone anywhere near the harbour to the fish market. I like fish, but this early it's too much and too raw.
£50 pick of the 13-1. 51, 51, Jimmy, I've got a bid.
I've entered the Wall Street of fish trading.
Good price.
Every weekday, before I'm normally even conscious, 9,000 boxes of British fish can be auctioned here, and most of it goes abroad.
They tend to eat more fish. They also tend to prepare fish better than we do. Now, we still invariably eat it through a fish and chip shop, and it comes in a fillet form where, as on the continent, they would tend to eat the entire fish.
Right, the balance. £18 a balance. £18 a balance. £18.
It's not just the auction process that's bewildering, it's the sheer variety of fish. This is the pick and mix of the sea, but not all of it's sweet.
This is the anglerfish, or as we sell them in the trade as monkfish, and this is its lure, and that lights up and it attracts the prey into its mouth. Up to 20 years ago, we didn't see many of them. We simply didn't sell them. And then some bright spark found that the tail meat had a very similar texture to scampi. So they were being sold in a lot of restaurants as scampi. But lo and behold, with the advent of the continental trade, the monkfish now is a far more valuable species than scampi. So it's now actually sold as monkfish.
156.
It's an unearthly time to go to work, but Raymond explains the rewards can be worth it.
A crew member could earn anything up to £35,000, £40,000, and a lot of them have been earning that money for a hell of a long time. You know, £40,000 15 years ago was a hell of a lot of money, and we did suffer a lot. The image of the industry at that time, just the sheer volume of cash, it was like the Wild West.
I've spent the morning rather more usefully organising supplies.
Hi guys, I got some fish for lunch. Yeah, I think I might have nodded once too often at the fish auction. But lovely stuff. Look, here, Tom, have that one. They're beautiful. Look, one or two in the galley, maybe, or just 3 or 4 boxes. What are you looking at?
You try and do a good deed, and all your shipmates do is make you feel small. I don't know why I get put in charge of restocking the boat. I go to have a moan with my fellow professional, Ron, grocery supplier to the oil rigs.
When people ashore talk to you about the jobs, your job, and you tell them you're on an offshore supply boat, they always turn around to you and say, "Oh, you deliver the eggs and milk to the rigs, do you?" They just don't realise the actual magnitude of the job we do.
So who does take the milk and eggs out?
Well, we do. In addition to the rest of the stuff we take.
All right.
I get back and quietly go about stowing my supplies.
I'm sorry, Sandy, not in my bunk. Ugh.
That was my pet, Eric. I was going to keep him in the toilet. No one seems very pleased with me, so I keep my head down, and we set sail from Peterhead anyway.
We sail on to the Dallas of Scotland. Aberdeen, oil capital of the British Isles. Among these modern, high-tech working boats, Herta feels very old and very small. Aberdeen's become the hub of an international business and now feels curiously un-Scottish. As we pass through, the only tartan touch is Sandy's waistcoat. Come to think of it, we've been sailing the Scottish waters for 5 weeks and we haven't heard a single bagpipe.
Arbroath, and we've hit the Scottish experience with the full force of an American theme park. Gee, Harry, aren't they cute? It's also Scotch. A pack of pipers piping assault us from every side. I don't think it's my instrument. Only the professional judges seem to be able to distinguish one drone from another.
What are you looking for?
We're looking for flow, uplift, and a good musical performance. You know, fingering. We're looking for everything.
Everything?
Yeah, it's not there.
And have you found it?
The instrument must be good as well, which is difficult on a day like this, you know, very damp and so forth. But we're getting a lot of good tunes.
I have to say, it does all sound like the same tune to me. It isn't, is it?
It's not. No. You get one or two that do play the same tune, but it's their own choice, so, you know, it can vary. I mean, you get a lot of different tunes as well.
And is anybody writing new music for bagpipes?
Oh, yes, there's new music all the time, but it's difficult to compose for, because there's only 9 notes.
As many as 9 notes. I can only spot 3, and I feel I know each one of them intimately.
The traditional hammer throw lands at the heart of the Arbroath Highland Games. Everything that says Scotland to the Sassenach. The chieftain of the clan in traditional dress. The caber being tossed by giant gladiators in kilts. And cycling in lycra shorts? I pay my respects to the head of the clan Forsyth, Chief Alistair Forsyth of that ilk.
Alistair, your full title, because you're the chieftain, I wondered
That's right, no, Chief of the clan Forsyth. One of the interesting things about our family is, and of that ilk illustrates this, is that we're all sprung from the roots of one man.
I hadn't expected the chief of a Scottish clan to sound so English.
The problem I have is that it's very hard to earn a living up here. There aren't the opportunities, and I work in London, and really to keep the home fires burning.
Right, what do you do?
I'm in insurance, insurance broker at Lloyd's. Working in London as I do, I don't think anybody knows what the feelings up here are, and perhaps they don't even care.
That's a shame.
Well, it is a shame,
Fellas, mind your backs. Look, I'm sure we should be sorting out Scottish politics, but look at that. Apparently they're saving up for a bike each. Oh, geez, great hand signals. Anyway, while John hobnobs with the big cheese, I go undercover for inside information.
I've noticed that you all have something on under your kilts. I think boxer shorts are not quite the thing, really, are they?
No, this is long shorts are tend to go for, you know.
So how do you learn to toss the caber then?
Start with a post for a start.
Yeah.
Just to learn to pick it up, and then you go into heavier cabers.
So what is this, like a telegraph pole or something?
Well, shouldn't be doing it with these boots on.
Oh, you don't wear these boots for that?
You clasp your hands together.
Right.
And then you keep it in, well, and tight. Put down. On the bottom.
And what do you do for a living when you're not touching the cable?
I work in a food factory. It's mixing bun mixes and stuff like that.
Bun mixer? I can make cakes. Perhaps I can toss the caber as well.
Yes!
Sorry. All right, I'm not that strong, but don't I look the business?
Have you ever wrestled an octopus?
Is that right? So.
Put it on your mouth.
Yeah,
Grab it with your teeth. No, grab it with your teeth first.
Yeah.
Grab it with your teeth.
Okay.
You want blow for you?
Yes. Oh, what a sweet man.
It's very good, sir.
It's come to life. How about that?
Clearly, he thinks I'm a natural.
Another one. See if they're going. Come on, go on.
Go for it. He's definitely not taking the limb on the boat, are you?
The decision's unanimous. It's time to leave Scotland.
Back to games on the high seas. Tossing the topsail.
Back on course, Sandy. Keep going, John. Miles. Oh, I don't believe it. Okay, give me slack. Okay, whole thing down again. My fault. Entirely my fault. Back on course, Sandy. It's the most awkward hoist there is. It's right on the windward side. Whoa, down. Go. No. Down a bit. Hoist. Go now.
All this effort, and it'll only boost our speed 1 more mile an hour.
Okay, Sandy, back on course. Just bring her up till she shakes. That'll do it. And steer due south.
There we go. Due south.
Not 187 or 185, due south. To the land of the sunshine.
We're doing about 5.5 to 6 knots now. So it allows you plenty of time for reflection and to enjoy a beautiful sunset like we have tonight. But the downside of the slow speed is that now there's a whole big cloud bank building up, which is threatening, and we don't know what the wind might be coming with that. If anything does crop up, there's no way to get out of it any quicker. You're just stuck with it and have to carry on until you get to a safe harbour.
From the beginning of our journey, we headed north for 2 months. Now the compass reads south, and although we have hundreds of miles left to travel, we face the overnight passage to England, comforted by the feeling that we might actually make our deadline of returning to Falmouth in 3 weeks' time.
By 5 a.m. we can no longer see last night's threatening cloud because of the fog. Overnight we've crossed the Scottish border and England is somewhere nearby, but the chances of getting ashore are slim.
It's not even 6 in the morning, and we're now off drift net fishing for salmon. Jumping ship before I've even digested breakfast has made my heart pound a tattoo worthy of Edinburgh, so it's a while before I clock that the people around me are no longer speaking with Scottish accents. We've arrived in Northumbria.
Waiting for us.
It's a bad time for you when they do the nets.
Oh, the nets, you're not getting a fish. Take the fish straight out as soon as it goes in. You're very lucky if you get one seal going
Do
there.
they ever get caught in the nets themselves, the seals?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
They normally go straight through. We lost 4 fish yesterday with a seal. Took 4 to the net straight away.
How long would you normally have to wait while the nets are just drifting?
Anything from pulling them straight back in to I've seen us let them stay full day.
So you might be drifting like this for quite a few hours?
From 4 in the morning till 8 at night, that's our limit.
You need a lot of patience then.
Patience. Patience and tea and coffee.
You're having a rough time here, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a hard life, isn't it? If you don't weaken.
All the stresses and strains, eh?
It's terrible.
Lovely. Fresh salmon for lunch.
Oh, brilliant.
John and Alfie, as drift net fishermen, are among the last of the hunters. Well, most things we eat these days are farmed, packaged and shoved on a shelf. But here we were, tracking down wild creatures of the sea. I loved the romance of it, until Alfie almost instantly landed another salmon. Been swimming together, he said. Probably a salmon couple.
We're home now.
I was finished. Suddenly, these two flapping creatures were the Romeo and Juliet of the fish world. I could no more have eaten them than Bambi. Maybe supermarket food is better. I've never got emotionally involved with a frozen fish cake.
They've been working from traditional cobles like this for generations, sometimes catching just 10 salmon a day, but not for much longer. John told us that no more licenses are being issued for this type of fishing.
England.
In the the tradition of the great seafarers, we made landfall in a new country. The Pilgrim Fathers may have taken Plymouth Rock, Captain Cook may have claimed Endeavour Bay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much indeed.
Fab.
Bye, John.
Brilliant.
We, however, bumbled ashore at Beadnell.
This is Bamborough Castle. It couldn't be anything but English. When you cross from one country to another, Scotland to England by sea, there are no border signs. But arriving at this unfamiliar place, even out of the fog, there's no mistaking that you're in England. Flat caps, ice creams, and windbreaks on the beach.
Ah, and guest houses.
Sorry, you're right behind the door. Hi.
Yes, I don't let my wolf hand out.
No, that's very wise. I wouldn't. Just dog that size.
You haven't asked my permission to do this.
No. I was just coming to, you see. What I was wondering, we're sailing round Britain. All the way round.
Are you the people? Yes, I know.
Oh, do you?
That great lot pointing at me now.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want to come round the back, though, because my wolf hand will come out?
Oh, no, I don't want your wolf hand to come out. I'll come round the back.
Come round the side, and I'll say, come and say hi.
Okay, then. That'll be brilliant. Thank you.
Now, how am I going to say this without the landlady getting the wrong idea? Let's see. Have you got a room for an hour?
Hello. Are you friendly? You look very friendly.
It was in a coble like this that local heroine Grace Darling dramatically rowed to rescue the crew of a wrecked ship. That was in Victorian times, but her heroism is still the talk of the town.
I just wanted to ask you, Charlie, about the Grace Darling thing, because it's very famous all around the country.
Cat. An old man down there, look, old Beadnell. You should tell us, it's a fine day, the boat's at the sea.
It was a fine day after all.
Well, a fine day, eh? The sea dancing game, ships that couldn't sail, man. Hit it down the rock. Well, it went along the right side of the rock, it was sheltered out of the way, man.
Okay, sorry to
That's all right.
bother you like this.
No, you're not bothering me.
What
I'm really bothered.
I was wondering if I could have a room for an hour just to take a shower.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
you
would that-
could.
would that be all right? That would be
Yes,
fine.
I've got people coming in to... I'm sure it'll be okay.
You look very fit. Are you some
I'm a
fitness?
fit dance and fitness teacher,
Oh,
yes.
well, that's
yeah.
just as well you fit then, really, isn't
But
it?
the only thing is, they're due in about 6. I'll have a quick word with my husband and check what time.
That would be
be all right.
I'm
Half
sorry
an
about-
hour?
Look, I could be so quick, just a shower.
Where's your gear?
Well, I was just, can I borrow a towel?
You certainly can.
Thank you very
You
much.
don't have to come while you have a shower, do they?
No, they're not allowed in.
No, right.
No, they're
that's-
fit boys. Sorry. No, you see that smile on it? You're not coming in.
Say, you couldn't hear. Well, the old fisherman down there, I got no idea he's not knowing my ticket for that. But he's a old damn feel like it. You must even right boot, eh? He wasn't my ticket.
I think Fisherman Charlie and his brother Tom are saying something really controversial about Grace Darling, but I can't be sure.
I just watched four of the bank side out in this house in now and he heard whoop, whoop. Darcy says, what's going on here? And he said, I kept in it on. Well, it's all the damned. It's the salt widow. It's not hooked on. All the way up. Salt widow. Oh, here is a lad.
Sorry, I won't be long. Have you got any more hot water?
We caught up with Herta only just in time to catch the tide out of Blythe.
Just go for the green buoy and leave it to start.
It's another punishing early start, but at least the weather is being kinder to us.
That's good. You let the space load spin.
Of course, we've learned that there's no such thing as plain sailing.
There's always a lot of work to do on the boat. You would think there was so much to do, but in fact, there's always a tremendous amount to do. And rather than trying to skive out of it, what you really want to do is join in. And that's been part of the fun. But unfortunately, I've now got these on, which are very attractive, because I have in fact damaged my hands doing all the rope work. I've been told I've got to rest my hands. And what that means is I can't pull the ropes, I can't do my knotting, and I'm pretty much resigned to being on the helm. And I'm more disappointed than I expected.
The gentle day trip passed in comfortable silence as we hopped down the coast to Whitby.
Whitby used to be one of the great British whaling ports. William Scoresby, you know, the man who invented the crow's nest, he was a whaler and he sailed from here. Caught 533 whales in his time, which is obviously more than most people. Quite a nice fishing job in those days. One bite and you'd had a good day. The town had some of the first street lamps in the world, because of the whales. They were fuelled by whale oil boiled from blubber on the quayside. Must have ponged a bit. This morning I woke up with tremendous purpose. Not for me, frittering my day away on the beach in a kiss-me-quick hat. See, what with my injured hands and the mess I'd made of getting supplies in Peterhead, I am quite aware that I haven't really been pulling my weight. I offered to make it up to the others. I promised them it was safe to leave me to restock the boat while they had a bit of a day off. And that certainly was my plan. But I am so easily led astray.
20 play the 2 cards. 3 games for 50, or you can have 6 games for £1.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, are you any good at it? Have you been winning?
Yeah, no, but I know what to do.
All right.
£2. Do you want to play the 4 or do you want to play the 2?
What do you reckon?
First number's red line down and straight. Number 10, red, your first number.
Close it, like that?
Yes.
Right.
White 6 and 4, 64.
Might have double numbers as well.
Oh,
Yellow 2 and 1, 21.
It's a lot to think about.
Yellow 2 and 6, 26.
Confident that Sandy would prove reliable, for a change, we went for an outing. The Mary Ann Hepworth is the old Whitby lifeboat. Now she takes tourists on short trips round the bay. Which is probably just as well, because although Skipper Barry is a former lifeboatman, he's not too clever at sea.
I suffered from seasickness, terrible. Sounds awful. As soon as I got to the pier ends, it was a standing duck. Oh, are you all right, Barry? Are you all right? And I'm, yes, I'm all right, But, I mean, sometimes I was really ill.
White 6 and 8, 68.
I don't feel too guilty. I'm being vaguely nautical. Bingo is the only form of gambling allowed in the Royal Navy. OK, it's not a strong connection, but it is a connection.
24. Yellow 2 and 5, 25.
Bingo! It's me.
Bingo?
Yes, I think so.
Bingo at 25. On seat number 14. 1 voucher.
Is that right? Did I win?
Yes. We get one
voucher
for that.
Have you ever been called out to somebody who really didn't want to be rescued? It was just a cock-up from...
Some yacht was hanging around in this area for a long time, so the lifeboat went to investigate. Coming alongside or getting on board, some of the crew found a married couple. But they weren't married to each other, that was the problem. They were sort of enjoying themselves, as you do. Quite in a quiet place, and they didn't really want it reporting, but that was...
So what do they do, just quietly nod?
Yes, no, told nobody.
What have you won on bingo? Have you won good things on bingo?
Well, what we do is we save the vouchers up. We have a caravan and we come every weekend.
Right.
So we save the vouchers up and we get Presto vouchers and go get the groceries for the caravan.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Or you can get Argos vouchers or Marks and Spencer's vouchers,
So you're having a good time, but you're getting something for it as well?
Yes.
Can I get something?
There were a lot of tempting prizes, but I'd set out with a mission, and I was quite clear about what I wanted.
You can have 3 tins of soup for 1 win.
For 1 win?
Yeah.
OK, 3 tins of soup then, please.
1 of each.
Yeah, lovely.
Back to the boat with my winnings. 3 tins of soup, 4 of baked beans, a large packet of tea bags, and a giant bar of fruit and nut. I'm going to get big brownie points for this with the others. They don't need to know that shopping was such fun.
Where did you get your tattoos done, Barry? Is that one vampire? Is that special for...
That's our group, the Vampire Prawns. It's Whitby's best rock band.
Vampires feature in a big way in Whitby. It was here that the writer Bram Stoker first dreamed up the biggest bloodsucker of them all, Count Dracula.
I'm not surprised he thought of it here. Looking up to the graveyard and the ruins of the abbey in the twilight sun. Well, it does seem to spark the imagination.
So what do you reckon about all that Dracula business then?
I think it's a load of, well, rubbish, really. It's a bloody good yarn.
It's a good story. No, I think you're probably right. There's absolutely nothing in it at all.
We seem to attract new friends wherever we go. I suppose that's what happens when you travel around the country in an old boat like Herta.
The Danish national anthem would be lovely, but that's a tricky one. If you play Wonderful, Wonderful Copenhagen, that would make me laugh.
That's nice. Who?
All together.
Thanks for the music. See you, Barry.
In 1768, Captain James Cook set sail from Whitby on the Endeavour, bound for Tahiti.
We left at 11:15 for Great Yarmouth. Not quite such a long journey, but less chance of scurvy.
Sandy, did you get the fruit?
Ah, what are the first symptoms of scurvy?
Another sunset as we enter our third month at sea on the equivalent of a floating bedsit. Just 50 foot of working, sleeping and living space.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Who's first?
Beautiful. Hang on. Sandy? Sandy?
Actually, I can hear them. But when you're constantly living in confined quarters, sometimes you just need to shut off and refuse to eat spaghetti bolognese. Again.
Midnight, skirting the busy ports of Hull and Grimsby and on through the nautical obstacle course of the Amethyst gas field. The skipper has decided it's the perfect time to trust Sandy and me with the responsibility of our first night watch alone. Oh dear.
Well, you know the form. Give me a shout if you're remotely in doubt about anything that looks as if it might be on a steady bearing.
Well, at least we've got good viz at the moment, haven't we?
Well, it's great, yeah. Okay, then. All right, well, I'll leave you to it.
Right. See you in a couple of hours.
Night, night.
Yeah.
No loud talking now.
No, no, not about you, anyway.
Right, off we go.
What's that over there?
God, it's a big light over there. Oh, it's the moon.
It's the moon, you'll be all right.
Oh, right. Steady,
No
steady,
panic.
steady.
How anyone can sleep knowing John and I are in charge is beyond me. You see, the thing about night watch is that it takes place at night, when it's dark, and the people on deck are supposed to be watching, checking that you don't hit anybody and that nobody hits you, especially nobody big. I've had stage fright. I've never had deck fright before.
You do feel it, don't you, with everybody asleep downstairs? You feel
Yeah.
It's incredible responsibility.
I'm trying to judge, particularly through an experience of judging any sense of distance, as to how far off, say, that boat over there might be.
We're prepared for anything, except being accosted by a flasher. Across the North Sea, someone's trying to communicate with us. Morse code. But what does it mean? Danger? Hello? Can I borrow a cup of sugar? John reaches for the radio.
This is Herta on Channel 6. Understood. Thanks very much. We'll go further to port. We wish to resume our course of 150. Can you advise how far past the second rig we should go?
Yes, sir, as long as you're half a mile to the east.
Understood. Thank you very much for your help. Over now.
What did he say?
The tide will be setting us to the south, so we've got to give it. It's a good idea to give it a wider berth.
A wider berth.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
That's good enough.
Working as a team, we've successfully communicated with the rig's safety vessel, corrected our course to pass untroubled through the gas field, and never once woken anyone below. By 3 a.m., we've lost our first night nerves and almost disappointed to be relieved of our watch.
Oh yes, fine, thanks. Yeah, well, actually, quite surprising. What a lovely night it is, isn't it? God, it's absolutely splendid, isn't it? Hardly a breath of air.
No. Enjoy yourself.
All right. All right.
It's tempting to stay on deck, but we know we must grab a couple of hours sleep before our next watch.
It was on a fine and a pleasant day. Out of Yarmouth harbour I was faring.
Oi, shut up! People trying to sleep down here.
We woke off the Norfolk coast with clearing skies, a gentle breeze, and the Scrobies. It's not an affliction, it's a series of sandbanks which can unsettle the waters quite alarmingly as you approach Great Yarmouth, our 33rd port of call on our voyage around Britain.
Every harbour is described in its own pilot book. But the books are not intended as tourist guides. They're written to tell you the facts about tides and safe channels. But Great Yarmouth has clearly stirred deeper feelings. The essential sailing information is overshadowed by an extraordinary outburst.
This is one of the ugliest places you could hope to sail into. The harbour and the town have nothing to recommend them.
I don't care. After 36 hours at sea, anywhere you can stroll further than 50 feet in one go will do me.
Roz, can you steer for me for a minute? Get a transit and stay on it, whatever happens, all right? From here. Get a transit and stay on it. It's looking good at the moment. Both entrances are opening and we're on a heading of about west. Yeah, we'll drop them probably as we make the turn. Just concentrate on getting your gear ready, Hannah, for dropping the topsail of the mainsail and all. OK, staysail down now. Stand by to roll up your jib. OK, go for it now. Roll away. Slack comes. Take out the slack on the starboard topping lift, Hannah, please.
Every rope is now familiar to us, and orders are followed automatically.
Right. Don't lose your halyard, John.
Don't lose the halyard, John.
You ready, John? Heave it down hard now. No, not with the tackle. You have to pull the whole lot.
Sorry, Tom.
OK, never mind. Somebody's going to have to nip up there and just flick that clear. Will that be you, John?
Suppose it will be. Nip up there. I let go of the end of a vital rope and it had shot to the top of the mast. We can't sail on without it, so I had to shin up to get it down. It's a bit of a climb, 60 foot actually. Probably a great view if you're not clinging on for dear life with your face pressed to the mast.
How about, John? I can probably pull it down, OK. Got it.
Great.
Brilliant.
Now I just need to get down.
Tom? Sandy? Anybody?
10 weeks ago, neither John nor I had ever sailed anything. Now it's time for us to go solo. The skipper is not entirely confident, so he picks somewhere safe. The Norfolk Broads. Oh, and someone else's boat.
Because the wind is forward of the beam, it'll be easy for the sails to flap while you're pulling them up. Right. With the boat facing in this direction relative to the wind. And then they'll all be flapping and they'll be making a terrific noise. And as you go around the corner, away to port, the flapping mainsail will take the breeze and off you'll go. Right. Like the proverbial dose of salt.
Then the sails will come over to the starboard side?
No, they'll stay on the port side.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I think the one thing, actually, that you could come unstuck with more than anything else is steering for the first time with a tiller. When all starts to go mad and it's not happening, disengage emotions and engage intellect. And just remember, if I pull the tiller to the right, she must go to the left.
Right. OK.
We're off. Masters of our own craft.
Now steer away, Sam.
Thanks.
Easy trip there, John. You're on your way.
He suddenly went wrong. This is how I like sailing. Flat water, land on both sides, drifting along with a chum.
I guess it
Would it help if I went one way or the other?
well, let's see, if you head up, get where you want to, get yourself aimed. Let's see what happens if I let the jib out. No, that's no good. We've got to have her in. Okay.
So in theory,
Yeah.
when we come round here like that,
Yeah.
it might jibe, mightn't it?
If the bend goes far enough round.
Will you just let
then
it go across?
I'll bring the sheet in slowly,
right.
avoiding your head if I can.
So good of you.
and
Shall
then
I
we
let
can
the
let it out
jib
the
off,
other.
or will you do that as well?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. That's fine. Yeah. This is also lightweight.
Isn't she pretty?
Absolutely lovely. There's no up and down.
I'm just going to try and keep her in the middle.
I think that's all we have to do. What was it Tom said? It's much easier to get going than it is to stop.
Well, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping for anybody now.
You have a vague idea we know what we're doing?
No.
Well, I have a sense of what we're doing.
I think I have a sense of it.
Yeah.
I'll just steer.
Let me have a go, yeah. So if I want to go dead ahead, I go dead ahead.
Oh, you'll be all
But
right
if
then.
I want to go over there, then I pull it towards me.
Yeah.
Oh my word, it's just like that, isn't it?
It's light, isn't it?
Incredible.
Okay, jib's off.
Right, jib's off, okay, you want to haul. Lovely job.
You're right.
Yeah. Do you want to just hold her?
Yeah, I got
I'm
her.
just going to check the jib line. Sorry, we're up, stop.
There's a cameraman sitting on the jib. These are not normal sailing hazards.
But this is Boy Overboard. Great. Our first chance to try out our skills.
Lee-ho.
We need to go about and tack upstream, as we yachties say. Slightly trickier, but nobody wants it to be all plain sailing.
Watch out, driving. The sail is going to be...
I'm going to go in a minute. As soon as the boat's on. Ready?
Starboard side, I think.
Lee-ho.
Somehow I feel we should have left that buoy to fend for itself.
Right, hard round. Should be fine now. You can go slightly to start.
You can get out the way!
Shit.
Sorry. I can't believe that's our fault. There was nothing I could do.
Okay, keep going right round.
You all right?
Yeah.
I thought motorboats always gave way to sail.
Okay, that's groovy. In a sense. Okay, ready? Hard about. The other way.
No, flat. Oh!
Don't worry, the tide will carry us out. Bit of engineage. You know, go back down river now for a bit. Regain our equilibrium.
You all right? Oh, I can't get out of it. I think I'm going to have to leave the engine on just to get us powered out of here.
Someone puts a lot of effort into preserving the reeds and the banks on the Broads. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so that's where you want to go.
Forward. Cut the engine off?
Yeah, I think, you can, yeah. Now, where's the wind going? So I think... Yep, fine. You got the helm?
Yeah. No.
Hard to starboard, so that's it. Well done, perfect. Good. Bit of jibbage. Okay, a bit more to starboard, Sandy. That's the one. Keep your heads down, anybody who happens to be lurking. All right, now, that's good. Okay.
At last, we've regained control.
Good. Oh, no! A bridge! But we know how to stop. We can stop. We're very good. We're getting better at stopping. Okay.
Shall I come forward and push as well?
We didn't actually hit this wall, mainly because we got stuck in the mud first.
I'm going to put it forward in a second.
Great.
We take the sheets?
Yeah, got it.
I'm worried about keeping time.
Other way.
Okay. Let's just think a minute.
I don't think a minute's going to be long enough.
It's a lovely day for sailing. But the main event is that we're stuck.
We're stuck in the mud! Will you come and help us? Why not? Oh, please! Oh, that's really mean.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Can you give us a hand? We got stuck on the mud.
Can you pull us out? Why wouldn't they have? That's really mean. I can't believe that. I thought that was the whole point about all that waterway niceness.
You throw your line. Can you give us a pull?
No, we'll take that long.
We finally arrive around the last corner under our own steam.
Ahoy there, Miss Cunliffe. Can I tuck you a rope?
If only we can dock safely, the skipper need never know about our disasters. Ah, that'll be the dog.
Wasn't too bad.
Our heads spinning, we search out the delights which make Yarmouth great.
Knocking on my door, it's my baby. She wants to rock some more. Who's that bringing on my bell? Must be that crazy Jezebel. Who's that bang, bang, banging on the floor? It's my baby. It's my baby. It's my baby. She wants to rock some more.
Heady with excitement, we head off for the bright lights of the Strip, the Flamingo, the Golden Nugget, Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, Norfolk style, where the prizes are cuddling.
Yes. Go!
Yes.
Go! Go!
I got him. Ah, come on. Do you think these things might be fixed?
Not at all.
I want to make it quite clear that I'm only here to humour Sandy. This is not my idea of fun.
850 games.
But then again, I'm actually quite good at it.
4 tickets.
We got 4 tickets.
Yeah, how many do we need? 5 to win something.
And then there's the grab machines, but nobody ever wins on these.
I've done it. I got him.
Oh, you started.
Back to Big Bertha and more prize tickets.
I'm shattered, but John seems unstoppable. Never let that man near bright lights.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
2 hours, £11 and 25 pence later.
Tom's gonna love it.
He will.
We'd hit Yarmouth for much-needed rest and recreation, but the recreation had gone so well we'd forgotten to rest. 4 hours later, we're back on the move.
The forecast was for quite likely other fog this morning, and if we don't get it, it'll be great. We can just get out through those sands before it comes down. It'll be fine.
I don't think John or I will ever forget Great Yarmouth, or more specifically what's tucked behind it, the terrifying tranquility of the Norfolk Broads. The disaster of our first solo sail has left us wondering whether we've learnt anything after all these miles at sea. Still, at least we did get something good out of Yarmouth.
A couple of stowaways seem to have crept on overnight, Tom.
I don't like the look of yours, John.
I'm not too sure about yours either. What do you reckon? One at the fair.
Well, I think they saw you coming.
Yeah, well, I think they might have done. With these combos.
I'd shove them right up in the forepit. They can block up that vent that leaked.
God, this guy's a bit bright this time of the morning.
Yarmouth Harbour Radio, Yarmouth Harbour Radio. Yeah, we're just passing through the entrance now, bound out towards Ramsgate with 8 persons on board. Over.
The tides demand an early start, but we don't mind because for once they stay in our favour all day. The ship's log rapidly clocks up the miles as the helpful currents speed us ahead of schedule. There's time to relax as we hold our course for Dover.
That must be too much, John. OK, well, we're just abeam North Foreland, Roz, entering the channel. If you like to log it.
So pretty, isn't it?
Fantastic.
White cliffs.
Dover Harbour, RETA now about 10 minutes. Just passing North Foreland, we're under sail. Over.
Just continue heading for the east entrance, and so might have one more ferry out before you enter.
Very good. We'll do that. We're listening 7-4.
Dover is the busiest port in Europe, So you can't just sail in and out willy-nilly. All vessels have to obey instructions from port control. A ferry with hundreds of passengers is held back by them as we sedately cruise in under canvas. Dover Harbour may be sustained by ferry timetables, but the respect for an old girl under sail has never diminished. I went to visit port control. It's a bit like air traffic control, without the planes. Thank you very much for letting us come in ahead of the ferry yesterday. We were cracking on. And we didn't think we could slow down, really.
Good afternoon, sir. A couple of minutes, please. Entrance, go ahead, please.
Yes, in the camel, Carla.
Hello, Dover Port Control. Here's Schotenshop again. Please, could you tell me when we can enter the Eastern Harbour entrance? Over.
Yes, you may enter now, full speed. The international language is English. They have to speak English.
Thank you.
Not that we can all speak foreign languages anyway, but...
I just get some strange names coming in over the VHS.
Very, very strange at times. Very difficult sometimes.
So what do you do? You've got to call back to them?
We try to make a noise very similar to the noise that they pronounce.
For most people, Dover is just the start of exciting excursions deep into continental Europe and beyond. The lure of gastronomic adventure, cultural enrichment, and the prospect of a romantic escape from the humdrum life at home draws them through the port. For the members of the Dover Sea Angling Club, however, Dover is the start, the end, and the fulfilment of their dream holidays as they maroon themselves on the Dover Harbour breakwater.
You can only get here by boat, and once you're here, there's nothing to do but fish and ferry spot. Why would you bother?
Every time you cast, your hopes are renewed, and if you fail when you pull in, you've got no fish on. You can chuck out again, and 5 minutes later, your enthusiasm is there again. You're back because you might get the big one.
Some people find it so much fun, they don't just spend the odd night here, they come here for their 2-week annual holiday. Here, a mere cod's throw from home. The accommodation's what brochures call a bit basic. Well, it was a wartime gun emplacement, but it does have its attractions if you like sharing with flies and being intimate with unsavoury-looking things pickled in jam jars. If you live in Dover, it just seems odd to me that you would take a 2-week holiday in Dover out on the
Well,
pier.
they love their fishing. I mean, they're fanatical. The point being that the best fishing is at night out here. So they come out, sleep all day, and then fish all night. Otherwise, they've got to keep running backwards and forwards. It's much better if they come out, get a week off from the wife, and just bed down over in the daytime, and then fish all night.
The place, however, is not an all-male preserve. Among the 2,000 members of the club, a small but growing number of women anglers are beginning to be accepted.
Actually, the men are really good to lady anglers if you get into trouble out here and you're not sure what to do. The men are always helpful because most of them are really good. They know a lot more about fishing, but the women are catching up slowly.
There's a couple of ladies that come out regularly now, and they sort of have to mix in with the men, I'm afraid.
Now, what does that mean? Has there been any complaints?
Yeah, there was a few when they first came out. They complained about the graffiti and the pictures on the wall in the canteen.
Oh, well, you've got some naughty pictures.
I guess they are a bit, yeah. They're not down to me, but yeah, there was some complaints, but I'm afraid the ladies had to lump it.
It's nice, probably, for a lot of the men to sit down and they've got women that they can talk to about fishing, because a lot of men try and talk to their wives and the wives don't want to know anything, so...
The passengers look down smugly from their ferries bound for foreign climes. They don't know what they're missing. I do. I can't wait to get off. We happily let the hovercraft clear the harbour first. Basic rule of the sea. If they're noisier, faster and bigger, give way.
Herta, port control. Okay, want to get ready to hoist the main pretty sharp.
I don't really know why we're looking so cheerful. We've got just 10 days to sail from the lower right-hand corner of Britain all the way across the bottom of the map to Cornwall, or we'll miss our deadline of racing in the Falmouth Classic Boats Regatta. Our satellite position finder has been programmed to alert us to an important point in our circumnavigation of Britain, the Channel Tunnel.
There it it is.
About as close as any decent sailing person ought to get to the tunnel. Right. Yeah.
Stand clear of the doors and mind the gap.
I apologise for any delay. It's due to crabs on the line.
We head on into all too familiar fog, bound for the site of another famous channel crossing, Hastings. I don't know if William the Conqueror came ashore like this, but little seems to have changed here since the Normans made their forceful bid for an early European union. There's no harbour, so Hastings fishermen have been dragging their boats up the beach for centuries. It's not that long since they were using horses. Not to fish with, obviously, to drag the boats up.
For Hastings fishermen, this beach is their boatyard, storeroom and workshop. To others, it's just an eyesore awash with rubbish. There have been attempts to remove the fishing industry to clear the beach for tourism. The fishermen survived that particular battle, but now face another challenge to their livelihood. There just aren't enough fish in the sea.
Did you get any fish this morning?
No, very little. There's abundance of spider crabs at the moment. They clog the nets, they come in such large quantities that you're just unable to work. We can't leave nets down any period of time because they just, we can get hundreds in each fleet. We need a cold winter, to be perfectly honest. A cold winter then kills them off and gives us a few years fishing again before they repopulate.
So, I mean, how bad is the situation for you and your colleagues on the other boats? Is it getting desperate at the moment?
Well, we got 3 fish there. We're taking 1 home each.
Clearly, something needs to be done for these fishermen. I must go straight to the top. Through the back streets of Hastings, I march to demand an audience with a local man who carries considerable political clout, Lord Tiverton.
Well, hello. Yeah, hi, it's Sandy Toxvig. Welcome, Sandy. In you come. Okay, thanks very much.
I venture into the corridors of power.
Hello? Anybody home? Hiya.
I'm here.
Oh, Lord Tiverton.
Well, there could be.
I'm Sandy Toxvig.
Pleased to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Lord Tiverton.
This is the home of the Looney Lord Tiverton, the Minister of Culture for the Looney Party.
Oh, Minister,
Step
no,
aboard
thank you very
and
much.
we'll give you a tour of the humble abode.
Oh, terrific. So, Minister of Culture, what do you have to do as Minister of Culture?
I'll explain all those wonderful things later to you. But if you join me in a glass of champagne?
Oh, well, I don't normally, but obviously in this instance I feel...
Twist your arm.
Okay, talk me into it.
Okay,
No
you
problem at
give
all.
in easily.
I do, well,
That's the sort of lady I like.
I think we're going to get on for it. Oh, hello, sir. He's
Got his clothes on now.
I'm glad to see it. Yes. He's normally naked, is he? I don't wish to know. This way?
This way.
Lovely.
His lordship's not available at the moment, I'm afraid.
That's Cherie, his lordship's election agent.
Home tomorrow. Bye.
And that's a full-size stuffed bear with a dummy in its mouth.
So, is this your total kitchen, Tivers? Is this it?
Well, why would anyone else want more than this? I mean, here we have the essentials of life. A toaster, a tin opener, electric tin opener, and a kettle. And apart from that, within 200 yards of this spot here, I have 18 restaurants and places to eat.
When's the first time you stood? What was your first candidature?
Well, I stood here in Hastings and Rye in the general election before last. And rhubarb.
Rhubarb. So he really is a politician. Why do I like him so much? I'll have to probe a bit deeper.
Yeah, 1785. Right, now I've got to do the heavy political interview with you now. Right. So what's the Looney Party going to do for the fishermen?
The fishermen?
Yeah.
We plan to extend territorial waters.
Oh, that's
This is
good.
the only way. I mean, it's totally unfair what they're trying to do with them, make the poor devils stay in port like 9 days out of 10. So we'll ban the French from our waters, and we believe there is good reason to extend them as far as within 100 metres. We will accept, perhaps 100 yards would be better, 100 yards of the French shore.
So our fishing waters will go within 100 yards of the French.
100 yards, yes.
And how do the French feel about all these policies?
What is the French word for naff? They're not, whatever that is, it sounds a bit French in any case, but naff or something like that.
You've never bothered to learn the French language?
We don't speak to them really, no, they're not our sort really.
Lord Tiverton wears leopard skin leggings, made his money out of health food stores, and has a chauffeur who used to have his own television series. I need to get back to something familiar. Bizarrely, it's an old sailing boat racing towards Falmouth.
Only one more week, several hundred miles, and nobody can really believe we'll make it. I settle Sandy on deck and go to make her a nice spaghetti bolognese.
Not again.
We're only 200 miles short of having sailed around the British Isles and actually making what 3 months ago seemed an improbable deadline.
If only these other boats would get out of the way. I know it's the Solent and the centre of British yachting and all that, but don't they realise we've only got 7 days left to reach Falmouth, and we've got to stop in Portsmouth for a pit stop? Or whatever they call it in yachting. Anyway, we've broken something. Apparently it's vital.
What we're going to do is drop the staysail, roll up the jib. Do you want to do the sheets, Hannah?
Portsmouth without the Navy would be like Aldershot without the Army. It's the historic heart of British seafaring. So if you're going to break a vital piece of sailing equipment on a classic yacht, this is the place to try and sneak in and get it fixed. With ultimate cheek, we nip into one of the most hallowed docks in the country, Portsmouth's #1 basin, right under the stern of HMS Victory, the flagship of the home fleet.
Nelson defeated the Danes at Copenhagen, so being Danish, I can't say he's my favourite, but he did have a nice boat. Apart from the size, Victory and Herta actually have quite a lot in common. Both built entirely of wood, both attract a lot of attention, and neither one has showers for the crew. Mind you, I don't think I'd have fancied sailing round Britain in her. Parking would have been hell. Though there were some attractions to being in Nelson's crew.
They did get a lot of alcohol to drink. 8 pints of beer a day. Now, drunkenness was a floggable offence, so they had to be very careful to drink it moderately throughout the day. Now, most have heard of the expression, 3 square meals a day. That's where it originated from. The men were fed 3 times a day, and they were fed on square wooden plates. The rim of the plate was called the fiddle. The men would come down, help themselves to their stew. If they took too much and it poured over the edge, they were accused of fiddling.
Victory was built in 1765, and oddly, they still haven't finished her. While tourists now crowd where Nelson once ruled the waves, master craftsmen continue the huge task of restoring this great vessel. Whole decks damaged in battle are being replaced, and we're about to ask them to repair a small wooden pulley. It's a bit like asking Michelangelo to pop round and do the kitchen ceiling.
We're off the pilot cutter Herta that's tied up under your stern here.
Yes.
I'm afraid your boss has asked me to ask you if you could repair my jib halyard block, which has split across.
Oh, yeah.
It took a knock on a dirty night when we were taking the jib down, and it split. He knows you don't usually do this sort of thing, but being as it's us...
Well, I know a man who can.
You do?
Yeah.
If
I
you're
won't
guy-
tell you very much it's going to cost you.
All right, then.
I'm off on my usual hunt for a souvenir.
That's it. Finished.
Well, what do you reckon?
It's nice, yeah.
Is it the first one you've had done?
Yeah.
You gonna have any others?
No, no.
So do you think I should have one?
Yeah.
You reckon? So can you promise me this is a proper sort of sailor thing to have done, a tattoo?
It used to be. It's changed a lot now. You get people like lawyers, doctors, that sort of thing.
So what was the reason for sailors having it done in the first place?
When Cook went over to the South Sea Islands, they saw a lot of natives with tattoos on, and they adopted it. They brought it back to this country.
Sort of souvenir?
Yeah.
Like an I Love Portsmouth
Yeah,
sticker,
that
except
sort
on
of
your
thing,
neck.
yeah.
And what do you think was the most popular?
Well, they used to start off with a swallow and scroll, panthers, eagles, dragons, roses and scrolls, mum in them, pair of eyes on the backsides. So, you know, usually when they're drunk in the pub, they can drop their trousers and show their friends. The vicar came in once, I don't know if you believe this.
A vicar?
Yeah. And he had 2 swallows on his backside. And he says, "What's the strangest tattoo you've ever done?" I said, "Well, this takes some beating."
How did you get to be a tattooist then? I mean, there must be a moment when you go, right, I'm now going to apply a needle.
I don't know, it's an odd thing. It creeps up on you over the years, I think. As a kid, you might see your relatives with tattoos, and it has a sort of strange fascination.
Well, it would do, especially if it was your auntie. That really would be strange.
It just affects some people more than others. They want to decorate their skin, and then once they've done that, they want to become a tattooist and start tattooing other people. But this is more exciting than ordinary art.
So how are you doing with that one? Are you nearly finished?
Yeah, nearly finished.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't have a drink last night. Steady hands and all that.
Having a tattoo done is a bit like having your tooth drilled, apparently.
You haven't got sort of mum written anywhere or mother?
I have mother on my shoulder. That was, yes, no, that was, I had 2 tattoos put on before that one, and I'd got a clout, so I decided I'd have that one put on before, try and make the peace, but she still hit me as hard.
And have you got any girls' names that you now regret?
Regret?
What have you got here, Maggie?
Yeah.
Are you still with Maggie?
No, unfortunately she got married last Saturday.
To somebody else?
To somebody else, yeah. No, but I was...
You could put his name just below hers as a sort of family tree, or...
Well, that's right, yeah, and... Yeah, we could do, yeah, but I wouldn't like a bloke's name on my arm.
Well, it's entirely
Well, that's right, yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Can I just... You don't mind, do you?
No.
Being familiar here. Well, oh, my word, you go on for days.
Yes, I had my back piece done in New Zealand, and I wanted a piece of New Zealand work on me, as I've had some Australian work as well.
Oh, we were a sort of multicultural.
Well, that's right, yes.
Yeah. A bit of a commonwealth.
Yes, it was a Gary's tattoo tour of the world.
You're going to run out of space, then what will you do for a hobby?
I'll find a nice girlfriend and I can start having her tattooed.
I left quickly before it occurred to him to start on me. I mean, nice boy, but what does it tell you when a man has the word tattoo tattooed on his leg?
Sunset on the aft deck of Victory. We step back generations as the ensign is lowered, and all around, ships take their cue to mark the end of the day. And we take one more step towards the completion of our journey.
Amidst all their other labours, the craftsmen of Victory had made time to restore our pulley and the possibility of us crossing our finishing line on time.
That is actually much better than it was before it got split. That is a beautiful cheek, isn't it? Block made on HMS Victory. Oh, I'm very proud to have even the remotest connection with Nelson. Terrific. Wonderful. Okay, well, I think we'd better do that straight away now.
Refitted, we prepare to leave number 1 Basin, feeling refreshed and eagerly anticipating the final leg of our journey. But without getting soppy, there is something special about Portsmouth. The history, the activity, I don't know, but for the first time we both feel like, well, proper seafarers. Everyone in Portsmouth seems to have captured our mood of excitement. They're all out. Flypasts, royalty. That's Princess Margaret on the bridge. Third on the left, with the hat.
And as if that isn't enough, we have a brief encounter with the Royal Yacht Britannia.
God, she is gorgeous. What we're going to do is lift the end of the staff so that the ensign is just clear of the water. Do it now, John, please.
Is that just deference because it's the Royal Yacht?
Theoretically, you would do it to any naval vessel, but, oh look, that's wonderful. She's responding to our dip. Splendid. Isn't she fine? Okay, I was back now.
Great move.
Yeah, feel pretty good about that.
How long does that tradition go back to?
I haven't got a clue, John.
Unbelievably, the winds are favourable, and we fairly speed off to eat up the remaining miles. Before we began this clockwise journey, we'd arranged to call in at various places around the coast. It seems daft now. The winds and the waves aren't interested in social diaries. Out of the 50-odd places we've visited, we've rarely been in one when we promised to be. For once, the South Coast weather allows us to keep a date. And mine's on stage. Traditional Punch and Judy in Weymouth. Crowds of kids enjoying the gentle story of domestic violence. My role's essential. Props. I'm in charge of sausages.
No. Don't pull the sausages. What? Why did you pull the sausages? Because I sat on them and squashed them.
Veins positively coursing with the adrenaline of a knockout first night, I'm in need of sun, sand and summer fun.
That's done me hemorrhoids in, I tell you.
I have my own promise to keep. Within earshot of the innocent pleasures of the beach lies Portland Young Offenders Institute. I've been invited there to talk about the effects of long-term captivity. Of course, my experience was as a hostage, not as a prisoner. Yet I find, when chatting to Lee and Paul, who'd both been convicted of violent crimes, that we have fears and emotions in common.
A couple of the places I was in, they had metal doors as well, and it was just that, the slam of the door and then the bolt going and that. Does that? I mean, I never got used to that. It was just the shock of it happening.
Well, some of the officers really slammed the door just like to get onto your nerves, like, you know.
Or just walk past, jangling their keys.
Like they're going to open it or whatever, like, you know.
Something that used to bother us, that we had sort of routine that we roughly knew that we guessed it was morning time and they'd be coming around to give us food and take us one by one to the bathroom or whatever. But if something happened at what didn't seem like the right time and you started hearing the cell doors going, that was always, you know, got us really going. Mainly because we were frightened of a move, but it could be anything, like they might come and interrogate us for no good reason.
We know when we've got sentenced, when we're going to get released. How was it when you got kidnapped and after a year or two, like, what did you think about getting out?
I always just started to tell myself that it might only be another month or two. But then those months would go by, and at times you just sort of give up and think, how much longer can this go on for? You know, it's just intolerable, you know, not knowing, and they never tell you anything about what was going on the outside or why they were holding it. And, you know, that was a real drain. So I think just out of, you know, in order to get through it, like you've been saying, just sort of say, well, it won't be longer, it'll be shorter, and just cling to that. Well, that was the only way I could get through it.
Did you have a sense of dates?
Yeah, to start with, marking off the wall when I was in solitary. And when I was with another guy, we used to keep track of the date and always a number of days we'd been held. That was important. We normally knew within the day where we were, even if we hadn't had any sort of news or anything for how long it might have been. I always slept very badly and got in the habit of having a nap in the afternoon, more or less just to get out of it for a while. Yeah. But the bad side of that, you woke up and it was just the shock of being back there again.
Back there, yeah.
And realising, oh God, you know, it's 4 years gone. You know, how much longer can it carry on? I mean, how do you feel about when, you know, you're going home, getting out? Are you anxious about it? As you're saying, you've got to pick up life and start again. And I found that very difficult. It's very difficult for my girlfriend living with me, and she gave up a job, but she would have done it, but to a large degree because I didn't want to go out and about. I was very much sort of frightened of the outside world and stuff, and wasn't very good at getting back in touch with my friends. It was very difficult for her.
A few people that I have spoke to have said what you said, like when they've, because like this is my first time, I haven't really experienced it yet, but they've said, like, who has been in and gone out and come back in again, they said when they went out, like, they couldn't even stand in the shop, like, you know, they felt too compact from there to get out and let their girlfriend, like, stay in the queue, and they didn't really want to go out. They couldn't go out, like, to a pub or nothing, you know, it's too, like, you know, hectic for them.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's right. A pub was just a nightmare because there's so much noise. And I found I couldn't actually talk to the person who was sitting as close as we are now. I could barely concentrate on what they were saying. I was hearing bits of other conversations all around. I'm very, very nervous about it all. It was, you know, quite strange. And we're just walking down the street feeling terribly self-conscious because you just think everybody must be looking at me.
Although I'm free to go, my mind will stay in the prison for a long time.
John and I are collected for an important date, to draw the national lottery of the RNLI.
These boys are going to chase us out?
Yeah, I think we're going to catch a lift,
and catch you up towards Portland. Very jolly, won't it? OK, yeah, well, we'll be out somewhere off the bill, I expect.
Okay. I'm glad you've enjoyed your trips anyway.
It's been very nice.
An amazing time, really.
Where did you get your medal from?
Yeah.
Oh, 1965.
What happened?
Motor cruiser nearly sank, and we tried to get a line aboard and couldn't get aboard, so I swam down with the line.
Oh.
Wow. How long have you been a lifeboat man then?
Oh, I've been retired. They dragged me out for special occasions.
Quite right too, Don. Quite right too.
I retired in 1980. I'm only 70.
Ladies and gentlemen, does that work?
A very warm welcome to the 66th National Lottery draw of the RNLI. But the special and warmest of welcomes to John McCarthy and Sandy Tosvig.
Within minutes, I've moved from the deprivations of captivity to the wide, warm spaces of being welcomed as an honoured guest. I stumble through the ceremony. To be honest, my heart isn't in it. Not that I'm not a big fan of the RNLI. Every hour at sea, we've been glad to know they're around. But my thoughts are still swimming with remembered fears of captivity.
Not Durham, but this is for our other lucky lady, Mrs. Oliverson from Glasgow.
Thank you. Having done our good turn for the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, they now return the favour. In the most up-to-date lifeboat in the country, we race off to catch up with Herta. The customary unhelpful tide had forced our skipper to go on ahead to beat the currents round Portland Bill. But this lifeboat is fast. Catching up will be no problem.
Oh, it's really sensitive. Yeah. Where am I heading?
Pile of rocks.
Right. But what do you feel about the fact that anybody can go to sea without any qualifications? Do you think that's a good thing?
I wouldn't in fact like to see it change, because it's probably one of the only freedoms we've got left between us.
Is that you?
Yeah. That's us. Negative.
Negative, sir. Small dinghy in the Green Hill area, floating out towards Bowleys, over.
The odds against us being on board a lifeboat for the very first time when a real rescue call comes in are so unlikely we can hardly believe it. Naturally, there's no option but to change course and look for the people in trouble. There's silent tension on board as everyone focuses on the search, including us. Although in the back of our minds there's now the possibility that Herta will be pushed so far ahead she might even finish our long journey without us.
Fortunately, the lifeboat's not needed.
We just wait now for the Coast Guards to ascertain that's the boat we were looking for, and then it will be released to return to the station or put you back on the boat. Yeah, Roger, we're on the way. Okay, we've been released. We can go.
That's good.
Yacht Herta, wave lifeboat, wave lifeboat.
Wave lifeboat, Herta. Yeah, we are now round a bit.
There's no denying it's exciting being on a shout, but clearly the real thrill for the lifeboat men is always when no one's in trouble. We need every hoof of horsepower available to catch up our more sedate but well ahead floating home. The sun is way over the yard arm when we finally catch sight of her.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
We wave goodbye, hoping we'll never see them again, in the nicest possible way. After all, usually when a lifeboat heads for you, you're in some kind of trouble.
It's turning into a bit of a day. Tom's made the mistake of listening to the weather forecast. You'll be surprised to learn it isn't good.
The big worry really is fog.
See? Fog.
If it's really thick, well, we've had this before, haven't we? Twice we've turned back for fog, just not so much because we don't know where we are, but just because we're alarmed about being run down. There's plenty of fishing boats around here, so I think if it's really thick, we'll have to turn back. The trouble is, if we do, we are really buttoned up for time now, aren't we?
With heavy fog forecast, we have no choice but to make for the safety of Dartmouth.
For the whole trip, I've looked forward to the journey along the south coast, knowing we'd be on the home stretch. But frankly, it's all been a bit of a roller coaster. Excitement, hard travelling, emotional highs and lows. 1 minute utterly confident of achieving our goal, and the next minute completely convinced we were stupid to think we'd ever make it. This leg has only taken 4 days, but we suddenly realise we've been living at this pace for 3 months, and we're exhausted. Sorry, Dartmouth. I'm sure you've got lots to offer, but before the sun has even set, we've hit the bunks.
Right. I couldn't be cosier. Well, I could, obviously. From the Ritz. I'll tell you what, John. We'd better be nearly finished.
Why?
I've only got one clean pair of pants left.
When we set off to sail around the British Isles, the only thing John and I knew about sailing was that, well, you need a boat. We had a lot to learn, and quickly.
Literally learning the ropes, sleeping, cooking, walking at strange angles.
Coping with other things at strange angles.
Seasickness.
Please. Making a 2,000-mile journey in a 50-foot sailing boat is just about the slowest way of travelling around the British Isles. But I've been unexpectedly grateful for the gentle pace. Without it, I don't think I could have coped with the amazing contrasts which assaulted us every day. The silence of isolated islands, the clamour of industrial ports, the joy of those who simply take pleasure from the sea, and the hardship of those who try and wrestle a living from it.
For 5 years in a Beirut cell, I dreamt of sailing an old wooden yacht into freedom. The reality has excelled even my wildest dreams. Sailing has also reintroduced me to my home in a way I could never have expected. Whether you're a fisherman in Peterhead, a bingo caller in Whitby, or a Buddhist monk on the Holy Island, anyone living on or near the sea can't help being affected by it.
I set out hoping to get to know my adopted country better. I've been so lucky to find great kindness, wonderful welcomes, and an impressive sense of independence in the people we've met around the coast. But I can't help feeling that as the traditional livelihoods disappear, these people are being left vulnerable to remote decisions over which they have no control. Mind you, I know the feeling. That was 2 weeks ago. Now we seem to have been asleep for only moments before the fog clears and we make a speedy passage from Dartmouth to Foy, where a huge bottom needs scrubbing.
Up to now, one of the main concerns has been that Herta doesn't go aground in harbour as the tide falls. Here in Foy, we can't wait for it to happen. Over the thousands of miles we've travelled, Herta's hull has gathered weed and slime. Tomorrow we're due to race other classic yachts to our final destination, Falmouth. If we're going to be in with a chance, we need to clean her up to maximise her speed.
This way we'd only take a minute off, and as you see, the slime's really... God, can you give it a bit more welly, Sandy, because you'll be all day at that speed.
I'm
Got
doing
a
my
lot
best
to do.
I can.
Oh, are you? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
See if you can get these chunks of weed off there if you can. They might require the scrubbing brush.
Seeing Herta out of the water, it's reassuring to realise quite how big she is, but disturbing to discover that she seems to be held together with bits of string and lead putty. Apparently some of it's come out. I'm quite happy to go and get some more. Must be a lead putty shop round here somewhere.
Excuse me, you know where I find Mr. Tom's?
Maybe up in the office over there.
I'm looking to buy some red lead putty. Do you know if I can get that anywhere?
Yeah, you can get up in the office.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Herta was actually built in this boatyard in 1911.
Get it started.
Well, that's all I know about Foy, really.
Is that it?
I couldn't hang about for them to put the lead in a bag. You see, the tide's coming in.
And we get to mix it ourselves.
Yeah.
Look at that, no messing
free.
around. Free.
Yeah.
See that? That's deadly poison.
Is it?
That's the stuff.
I knew I shouldn't have licked it.
Get a mouthful of that and you...
Apparently, the main effects of absorbing lead through the skin are loss of fitness, tiredness, irritability, trouble sleeping. Oh, I've got all those. Oh, of course I have. I've just sailed around Britain.
Time for a bit more scrubbing. Ourselves.
Ow! Oh! How's that?
I've died and gone to heaven. I don't suppose you remember the shampoo, do you?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Thank you very much.
You can soak them.
Yep. Hang on. Here you are. Done a bit. Steady.
Okay, thank you. Heaps of these.
Vital element forgotten. The razor.
Oh, hang on, I've got one.
Have you? I think it's okay. I'll go for the rugged look. Hang on.
Oh, your leg's nicely, don't it?
Right, your toe looks fresh.
Fab, isn't it?
It's glorious.
Oh! I'm cold again!
We started as total sailing novices. Now everything we've learned is about to be put to the test. Can we hold our own as part of Tom's racing crew? There's an air of nervous excitement as the start approaches.
So it's all a matter of trying to be be in the right place at the right time at the moment. We've 15 minutes to go now to last. There it goes. There's the gun. That's the 5-minute gun for the class before ours. Our 10-minute gun will be going in 5 minutes. And I've got that set up on my countdown here. So as soon as that gun goes.
I hope so.
In the world of classic yachts, Herta is a bit of a star, and there's a great deal of honour at stake. We psych ourselves up, check everything is absolutely ready, and once more go through the race plan.
I want Ross and Hannah's with the sheets back here, and John and Sandy work the foredeck. Make sure everything goes clear when we're tacking and things to start with. Once we get underway, we can sort it out a bit.
On the last day of an incredibly long journey, we have to summon up every ounce of energy and draw on every skill we've acquired. We can't let Herta down, or ourselves. The finishing line at Falmouth marks the end of this particular race, and for us, it's also the end of our island race. We want to finish in style.
Almost sick with nerves, we hear the gun go off.
Jib's a bit tight, Hannah. Come on, ease. One more pull, John. That'll do.
How's the stator?
Everyone takes up their stations. We trim the sails. We're ready for anything. Except a complete lack of wind.
In a pathetic attempt to get any kind of movement, even our film crew are press-ganged into acting as ballast.
Would this be a good time to start whistling?
Absolutely, yes. I've been whistling for quite some time.
I'd imagined yacht racing would have a frenzied atmosphere.
Is this a special racing diet?
That's it, yes.
Turns out to be a feeding frenzy.
Oh, it could have been.
That would give me a 5 for
We've been 3 months at sea now, and we just need to cross this finishing line, and then we'll have the end in sight. There's no wind. We could be here for some days now. I mean, I've been at sea for 3 months and another hour, and the finishing line is still over there, and we're still here over here. But now what's good is we're going to go the other way towards it, and maybe that will do it. Honour says that we have to finish under sail. There's a bit of a movement towards the engine.
The thread of the engine must have done it. The wind's picked up. It's too late for the race, but unbelievably, against all possible odds, we sail into Falmouth and meet our deadline.
We're welcomed by a jazz band on an old trawler. Might appear odd to some, but frankly, after what we've been through, it seems like the most natural thing in the world.
We'd promised to sail around Britain and return to Falmouth for this race on this day. And we've done it.
Yes, well done.
3 months ago, we left a sealed bottle of Liberation rum with the race organisers, only to be opened if we returned on time. Now they speed out to break the seal and toast our success.
Liberation!
That's it.
Broken.
The spirit's out.
There's a lot to celebrate. Coincidentally, we've arrived on the 3rd anniversary of John's release from Beirut. Now, the real question is whether the skipper would take us as crew again. That's the real question.
No, we've had some good laughs. We've had some good laughs, which is the main thing, actually.
Landlubbers to sea salts in 3 months.
That's not bad, is it?
A crash course with Cunliffe.
I didn't used to drink before.
Cheers.
I know that.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is a classic.
Well, would you do it again?
Back round the other way. Do you know, I'm a bit busy, I think, down.
Time to bid farewell to the home we've shared for so long. Slightly demob happy, Sandy and I have a last look under the bunks to make sure we've left nothing behind. Sandy, here's that hat I wore on my first night watch.
Oh, I hid it. Oh, well, it made you look like Bing Crosby.
So did you hide the pipe as well?